On the table for our discussion today that is your husband the question been side business hurting your marriage, creating tension or stress? Are you feeling overwhelmed because of what's happening in your husband's attempt to do what he believes that would be much better for the family if he's able to get to the place that he envisions in his mind, in his heart, and believe that God has birthed in this idea in him and has given him this entrepreneurial drive. And maybe you have seen him where just going to work and doing a job, he feels kind of that there's more to life. He feels kind of bored. Maybe he feels as if, man, I just go through the motions. It's same thing, same old, same old. I get up in the morning, I go to work, I come back, and he feels like that's not for him. And you may have seen that. You may have actually had conversation with him and heard his heart. But what frustrates you is that you're trying to communicate to him that it's not that you're against what he's doing. It's not that you're trying to oppose what it is he's after. Quite the contrary. What you really want him to know is there has to be a balance. And maybe he's not hearing that. Maybe he's hearing that some kind of like, where he feels as if you're not supportive of the endeavor, his aspirations, his goals. And he sees it not just as his, he sees it as ours. It's for you, it's for the kids, it's for us, he might be saying in his mind. And he's probably thinking, why can't she just see that? Why can't she just see that? And maybe he's feeling conflicted because he's feeling guilty that he's not showing up and be present as he should when he's with you and the kids. And you notice that, and you may have called him out on that, and he acknowledges that that's not what he really wants, but his mind is on this thing he's trying to build. And he's also feeling guilty when, he's thinking that, man, the more time I take away from this side business, the longer it's going to take. And we just don't have the luxury of the time to build up something over this long period of time. Number one, we're not as young as we used to be, he might be saying, and may have said that to you, and you've agreed. And in his mind, he might feel like time is running out. Whatever is happening, it may be what you're feeling. It may be what he's feeling. It truly could create why there's a balance that is off. Now, here's the thing, that these are things that are not somehow unique to your situation, right? It's not unique that you're the only one who have faced this. And you may say, Kingsley, I don't care about anybody else, what they're facing. I'm only concerned about my marriage. And I get you. I get you. I understand. You're right. You're right. But it's important to realize that because of the man that you have married, that I don't know if you had known this at the very beginning, or it's in the marriage you've discovered that this is something that he have wanted to do. Now, you might feel irritated and frustrated and annoyed, and all those emotions might be going through because, again, as much as you understand, you want him to also understand, right? Because when that ambition of his, which you admire, one of the reasons you may have married him is you admire that he had a drive and a passion and ambition. And which woman doesn't want that for her man? I believe every woman wants that. In my own marriage of 38 years, my wife makes it very known to me in many ways, in different times, how much she's proud of me. She may not use those words sometimes, but it's very evident in just the way that she communicates what it is she's approving of in my life. And so one of the things that you may have done is chosen this man because of the ambitious drive and the dream that he has on his heart and the things he wants to do for the family. And so that's one of the things that really cause you to feel warm inside towards your husband, right? But when that ambition turns into long hours and missed family time, missed dinners or no dinners altogether, or just not being able to show up at certain things because the idea of this business is saying, I need you here, the business is saying, and he's thinking, I'm at a loss. I am caught between two things that I really care for. I care about this business I'm building for the family, but I also care about my family, my wife and children. And if you ask him which of those two he cares most about, he will probably say, my family. But you're not hearing that, right? You're not seeing that, right? And so it frustrates you. You know, Mignon McLaughlin says, a successful marriage requires falling in love many times, always with the same person. And sometimes, you wonder if you are falling out of love with your husband, and you get the feeling, wonder if he's frustrated with you, and is he seeing you as someone that's nagging and someone that doesn't understand or seeking to understand. So there's frustration on both sides. And I can tell you that even though I don't hear much of that, I feel it sometimes in my mind. And it may be my own guilt, because I know that my wife would have wanted me to be in her presence and to spend some time together, which we do, by the way, which we do. And I share one of those things later on, what we have come up with that has worked for us. You know, like I said before, you're not alone. And many couples face this challenge. But remember, a strong marriage is a team effort, right? So here's how to turn, I believe, your husband's side business into a we business for a happier family. Now, I know that the concept you probably are very much okay with, because, and maybe you have already felt that, yes, I know my husband is doing this for us and it's not just for him. I get it. However, it does not mean that my needs are not being somehow not met. And that is the issue that you're experiencing. So here's some things I want to suggest to you as a wife that you might want to consider. Now, you may want to consider scheduling a love language date night, right? Where you both sit down and have a deep conversation. And so instead of, and I want to use this very carefully, so please hear me, instead of him feeling you're nagging at him, connect with him in a way he appreciates, right? And that is a way that he may hear you. So, for example, my love language is words of affirmation. Now, if I get that from my wife and she fills my tank with affirmation, don't you think that I'm going to be more apt to give from a filled tank than I would if my tank is not as full? If I only hear the things I'm not doing and constantly being pointed out to me, as much as I feel guilty already, and just pouring it on and turning that knife, I too will begin to feel, well, why do I want to go close to someone who is hurting me that way? So having that love language conversation, that date night, is to simply begin to become curious, ask curious questions. And also then the second part is to do what I call observation statements, make observation statements. Those are things you want to be able to do in that love language moment, that time you're communicating your needs and hearing him out. Hey, before we go any further, my team has notified me that more than 70% of you who are watching this channel is a new user. And I want to say thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate that. If you're finding this channel to be valuable and receiving value from these videos, would you do me a favor and help me reach more people so that they too can find value in this as well? To do so, all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button so that YouTube can generously spread my video to more people. And if you are feeling more generous, you can hit the like button as well. And I would really appreciate that. Now let's get back to where we were in our conversation. Secondly, I would want to recommend, which you may have already been doing, become his biggest cheerleader. You may say, Kingsley, I'm doing that. I mean, there's no other cheerleader than me to my husband, which I understand, right? But would he agree? Would he say that? Would he basically just without any hesitation say, yes, she is? Maybe he would. Maybe he would. You know, I would say my wife is my biggest cheerleader. And sometimes she may not say that at the time, where I feel like she could have said something, like I mentioned about my love language, but I know, for 38 years, come on now, I would by now have figured some things out. And so what I know is if you show genuine interest in his business, right? This very thing that you feel is getting in the way. If you show genuine interest and celebrate his milestone, it may you may have to look through a magnifying glass to see it, right? But do it anyway, because again, you want him to experience you in a way that he recognizes that you're not his adversary, you're not his enemy, you are his ally, right? Because you are the wife that Proverbs 18 speaks about, where he says, he who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. So your husband see you as the person he chose, and he felt when he got married to you that he found a good thing. I tell you what, when I got married, 38 years ago, wow, that's a long time. Yes, it is. But when I got married, I that was very true. And I just recently was on a walk and I was praying. And in my prayer, I remember specifically saying, God, I thank you for the wife you've given me, because you know what I needed. You know who could put up with me. And I was grateful for that. And I began to just thank God, because it takes a special woman to really put up with me. And I'm sure, your husband may say the very same thing as well. So what this verse reminds us is that a strong marriage is a blessing from God. Now, this does not let your husband off the hook, like he has nothing to contribute and he should not also be advised or encouraged to have a conversation and share with you what's going on with him. Because I find sometimes it's very challenging for us as men, and you may know this very well. We don't necessarily talk about our emotions as we should for the most part, and we just don't communicate as effectively as we should. And sometimes we want to say those things. We want you to understand, but sometimes we feel like the words are just not there. We know we're feeling something, right? Because men do have feelings, by the way. We're feeling something, but it just really becomes difficult for us. And so these are the things that really comes into play, because remember now, you both are building this marriage, right? It's not going to happen by itself. You are in the building process. He is in the building process, not just his business, but also the marriage. You guys are working together, because every action, every conversation, everything that you do in the marriage is truly designing the kind of marriage you're going to have. And sometimes it may sound as if I'm coming at you and saying, well, what about him? So just human nature. What about him? What about her? I remember I read in the Bible where Peter asked Jesus the very same question. He said, Jesus, hey, what about John? Because Jesus had just told Peter some things, and he said, okay, so what about John? And Jesus said to him, Peter, what is that to you? Leave that to me. You follow me, right? You focus on what you need to focus on. Because I find sometimes it's easy for us to say, yes, but what about them? And here's what I know sometimes. Maybe God is using this situation to build some things in us, build more resilience, or build a character, or build patience, because God is using everything in our lives to make us more like his son, Jesus Christ. And you probably know that very well. And so I know we feel like we're in this tug of war, like Paul that says in Romans chapter 7, he said, the thing I want to do, I find myself not doing. In me, I have a desire to do what's right, but I find that I end up doing the opposite. And so we all can relate to that because I'm sure you want to do what's right. Your husband wants to do what's right, but sometimes there's this conflict that we just don't know how to execute on it properly. But this conversation could possibly help, right? Could really possibly help. So one of those things I find is to remember is effective communication. And I would even go as far as saying godly communication, which implies effective communication is key, right? It's talking openly about your needs and his goals. Maybe you need a dedicated family night or help with chores. Working together, you can create a system that supports his dreams and strengthens your marriage. So you can have both and not either or if you can just come to a place of mutual understanding and helping each other to get to that place. One of the things I find that I had to do because I just felt there was not much margin in my life as much as I would love it to be. And I was busy, working. I would do my work as a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach. So I have that's my business. And I'm working with clients one-on-one. And sometimes my day, I'm drained. But then I realized that, Kingsley, yes, one of the things you want to do so much is to do one-to-many. You want to create programs. And by the way, there's a program that I'm working on right now that I'll tell you more about and in a future date. But you want to create programs and you want to create videos like this one. You want to create other content, courses, all those things, right? And you are so passionate about that. So you can't do everything when you are tired. And so what I had to do, I didn't have to, but I get to do, and I'm so grateful I did it. I'm so grateful. I cannot tell you. I had to then delegate some of the work that I do. Even this video you're watching, it was edited by my virtual assistant, who is someone that I truly appreciate because of the work and the commitment and the reliability and all the things that she does, you know. And so, Yen, as you're listening, thank you so much for this because you truly have helped me and taken some of the load off my back, and I really appreciate that. I also have a podcast. If you didn't really know, it's Happier Marriage Secrets, which the name is going to be changed soon. But happiermarriagesecrets.com/podcast, you can see that. But I have also a virtual assistant who helps me there and edits my audio and creates my, the footage and the graphics and so on. And these are helpful because they are both reliable individuals. They're people that I trust and has really taken a load off my back. So again, Jennifer, thank you as well. So both of you, thank you so much for the work you're doing. And so your husband may not even realize he could delegate, or maybe he might say like, oh, that's money I want to save. But here's what I know. We're either going to spend time or spend money. We spend time to try to make money, and then we spend money to recoup our time. And so we have to decide. And I find that when I have this help, they are as capable, if not more so than me in creating my videos and my podcast, my audios. So I have to get out of this idea of thinking I have to do everything myself. And your husband might be thinking that way because he doesn't know how else. And you could help him. And as a matter of fact, if he's not watching this video, you could have him listen to this video, right? Now, if you are a husband, as you're listening to this video, you may want to ask your wife to listen to this and watch this together and then have a conversation about this whole thing. Maybe this is causing you to start having a conversation. There is an anonymous quote that says this: communication is a bridge between confusion and clarity, right? Communication is a bridge between confusion and clarity. So I think it's so important to have not just communication, but effective, and not just effective communication, but godly communication. Remember, even small changes can make a huge difference, right? I love this scripture that says this is here a little, there a little, line upon line, precept upon precept. Means that sometimes it's these small changes that leads to, of course, big things. So you may want to schedule a love language date night and maybe offer to help your husband with his business and ask, is there something I can do to relieve? Or can we find someone and figure a way to make it work for us, right? So it's important to talk to him. And I know you may say, Kingsley, I'm exhausted. I've talked to him. Well, maybe one more time, right? Because together you can turn this side business into a shared journey for a stronger marriage and a brighter future. I can tell you sometimes my wife, she may be bored by some things that I'm doing because she has no passion and it doesn't excite her. She wants to see me succeed, no question about that. But when I talk about things as, you know, um, creating a thumbnail or having this editing done or having this audiogram done or this video shorts, like what's that? And so I understand that. And so not because she doesn't show interest, I do know those things, doesn't mean she's not interested. I have to also understand that. So here's what I know. If you're feeling stuck as a wife or a husband, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what it is that you're at and leave a comment below and let's chat. Maybe have a conversation. I would love to engage with you, right? So are there other struggles you face as a Christian wife of this entrepreneur? But it may be I could, go on and on, but not cover everything here because we're just doing a short video. But building a strong marriage is possible with God's guidance and a little effort. You like what you've heard and want to go deeper, you want to begin by practicing having better communication with your husband. And so, or with your wife. So I've created a free resource called 28 Daily Conversation Starter Guide that you can have simply by asking. Simply go to happiermarriagesecrets.com/start and request your copy. It's yours free for the asking. You will find things to start talking about with your partner that makes it easy to begin a conversation. The more you practice doing this, guess what? The better you will become at handling not just this conversation, but even the tough ones that comes down the road, or maybe you need to have even right now. So get your free copy at happiermarriagesecrets.com/start, and the links will be in the description of this episode. And you want to do so today. So you also maybe, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, may I ask you to subscribe to the channel? I would really appreciate that. And hit that like button to let me know that you're liking what you're hearing. And let me know what else might be you'd love me to speak about. And I would love to do that. So by hitting that like button and the subscribe, those are ways that I can get the feedback and also get this video to be shown to more people. And make sure you comment below. Now, may the Lord bless you and keep you and give you his peace, both now and forever. And you want to watch this next video right here. And I'll see you when you're watching that video, right? Hey, God bless you and talk to you soon.